Good day, good people. I am so extra excited. This is the first Friday. I want to welcome you to another purpose-filled episode of Lessons for the Journey podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to share insights and information on women's wellness, understanding our whys, and the lessons that inspire us to take positive action in ourselves, our families, and our communities. Our topics focus on women's wellness, seeing through a metaphysical lens, sharing spiritual insights, highlighting our journey lessons, and building healthy relationships. I am your host, Dr. Hetheru, and I share this space with engaging co-hosts, guests, inspiring topics, and we meet here on Fridays at noon for a transformative 1 hour of podcasting live on Facebook and on YouTube. You can expect deep, thought-provoking conversations on self-discovery and personal growth, special guests, us being on a location, and events, people, polls, and things. Our hosts share wisdom and life-changing insights, a powerful blend of spiritual, metaphysical, and wellness lessons, and lastly, tools and strategies to help you elevate your mind, your body, and your spirit. Our show is produced by Chantel Mosley of Podcastic Studios. Our co-hosts are Jada Rains, Ma'at Sabah, Mary E. Bayou, Nicole S. Miller, and special guest by Dr. Calvin T. Mann. Today is our first Friday, and this is where we take our lead from Mary, and she's going to jump right in with this, so give me a minute. I do want this message for you to be a sense of clarity, healing, and personal empowerment. This podcast is for you. So tune in, engage, and let's transform through the renewing of our minds, because we need for you right now, take a pause, go get your journal, your notebook, and an ink pen, because there is going to be some food for thought, some lesson for your journey, and some information and insight that you can share with others. So we're going to jump right in. We need for you to tune in, engage, and transform. All right, so our topic for today is around Black maternal health and overcoming and inspiring with our journey. And so we have some reflection questions before we jump in with Mary. So the first question that I'm asking our co-hosts, Ma'a and Mary, today is, what was your maternal health story? And I want to encourage our callers to call in with questions, so I'm going to give you the number. It is 810-560-0658. Again, 810-560-0658. So if you have any questions or you want to tune in, especially for our question topics, please jump in and share your story. So I always put my on the spot first. So what was your maternal health story?
Well, my oldest, I was 20 when I had him. He was 3 months premature, 3 pounds, 15 ounces. He stayed in the hospital for a month. My second one was almost 2 weeks overdue. He was 8 pounds and 3 ounces. So, and then my daughter, she was pretty much on time. And she was a 5-pounder. So I had like all different sides of the spectrum. But I didn't have, not that I can remember, I don't remember having any health issues per se. I don't know why. And I don't even think they know why my oldest came early. And at that size and that age, his lungs were not developed completely, so that's why he had to stay in the hospital for a month. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, they had to take him as soon as he was born to another hospital that had a neonatal unit, because where I birthed him, they didn't have one. Wow. So, with my second son, I hemorrhaged after he was born. I had to go back in. I thought I was thinking if this was a different day and time, I wouldn't have made it. Don't know why that even happened. So, I pretty sure that I ate as healthy as I knew to eat back then. There were a lot of information and resources that we just didn't have. Mm-hmm. I didn't know anything about taking supplements and, the things that are more healthy for mothers, because it's not something that was available to our community that I knew of.
Right.
So, but all in all, they all were healthy babies, and I didn't, once I overcame those challenges, everything was okay. In the Black community, our resources are limited. Your ability to have good insurance, to find a good doctor back then, a doctor that would even treat you fairly because you were concerned with racism. So the challenges that we had back then, I think, are not as serious as they were more serious than they are now.
Okay. Well, thank you. Mary, how about you? What was your maternal health story?
Well, I have four. Probably, I feel like I had four of the same babies at different times. Glorious pregnancies. I was really healthy. My eldest and the youngest were almost the same size, length, everything, 7'15" and 7'14". And my two middle children were both 8'15" and 21 inches. So I had some big babies carrying around all these kids. And so my eldest, because I was youngish, 22, most young mothers have, not most, but many will, especially African American, will develop preeclampsia. And preeclampsia is a disease generally that it is a disorder of pregnant women. And what happens is blood pressure issues arise. There's what we call proteinuria. You get protein in your urine. And if you're not careful, if it isn't monitored appropriately, you can infarct your placenta. What that means is your placenta can become ineffective and die off.
Wow.
And your baby, that's the lifeline to your baby, and your baby can succumb to that. My goddaughter, that happened to her. Perfectly healthy baby. He was a week overdue. Her placenta infarcted, and he was stillborn at term.
Oh, wow.
So, and so, I was properly managed through that pregnancy, and it resulted with a healthy baby boy. But I did have an issue with my second son, my youngest. At term, he was due in a few days, but I kept having pain. It wasn't contractions, it was pain. And so finally we just said, no, let's get to the hospital. And so they said, well, we don't see any contractions. The doctor let me go. I kept saying I'm having pain. They didn't see anything wrong. Fetal monitor said he was okay. And a couple days later, the pain woke me up out of my sleep. I couldn't sleep. My husband and I, we said, nope, let's go. Went back. Well, subsequently what we learned was my uterus was rupturing. And so there was you could actually see daylight. It was that thinned out, shredding. And so my son at that time, on the right side is where the rupture was, he kept hanging down on the left side. And I would push him, try to get him, because it was so uncomfortable. He was all balled up on this side. He was getting away from that weak spot. Intuitively, this baby knew that. Mm-hmm. And so that could have ended very badly. I could have had an embolus of amniotic fluid, and just like someone gets a fat embolus or any type of air bubbles in their veins or something like that, and it can kill you, Mm-hmm. And so that was handled properly. But I was a mom who was mature, knew some stuff, demanded that I be, that this be handled and treated appropriately. And that doesn't happen for us in our community, in such a way. I think about my goddaughter who lost her baby. there were some things not right, and she was saying that, and they kept reassuring, "Oh, it's okay, it's okay." And she went to term and delivered a stillborn baby. So it is definitely, and I just want to end with this, there are racial components and education and just advocacy that is needed, for our community, because we lose a lot of babies, just because there's disparity in the treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Wow. Thank you both for sharing. My story was that I was a little bit older, so I was on the threshold of 40. And, in my family, people were having babies much earlier. In fact, when I went to get the results or the confirmation that I really was pregnant and find out how far I was, everybody was laughing at me because they said I was so old having a baby, because it was like young women in there. The nurses were all young, and they came out there like, she just her first baby. And I was like, that's not a good thing. But I felt more mature to be able to handle it. Like, I've been in lots of births by that time. Mm-hmm. So, I was like, oh, I didn't know there was something wrong with it. It was not expected for sure, because I did not expect that I would have any children. And so the fact that I was blessed with one, made it that much more special, because his dad and I were much older parents. And his dad is, 13 years older than I was. Okay. And so, we were laughing, and I think this is why we got pregnant, because we were mocking. I think we were too much mocking God. And we were like, ha, you be 80 years old trying to teach your son how to play basketball. And we laughed so hard about that, and a month later I was pregnant. I'm like, all right, God, you do have a sense of humor. So I'm very careful about what I laugh and joke about. I get it. But my experience, I had toxemia, and which is a form of eclampsia, right? And so I had high blood pressure as an onset of my pregnancy. So my blood pressure was fine up until 5 months, and then my blood pressure started doing really weird things. And I didn't understand why. I mean, I felt perfectly fine. And they kept telling me, well, your blood pressure is really high. Like, they would keep me for longer periods of time when I would go to my prenatal visits. And they're like, well, you just, relax. And I'm like, I am relaxed. I'm like, maybe that's not me. That's him. That's him causing that high blood pressure. But it was interesting, because I found out that my mom had the same thing. So when she had the last of the 7, my mom developed the same thing. So my sister was born premature. And so my son was also born premature. He was 3 pounds. He was 3 pounds and 10 ounces. He ended up having to stay in the hospital for 2 months while his body developed. And he was probably, it's really interesting, but the nurses would bargain over who would have him. Mm-hmm. There, because he was smiling and he was touching people, like he was grabbing the nurses' faces with both of his hands, really, and looking at them and smiling. And they just could not believe that this child was having this reaction to people. So they always wanted to have him. So I would be coming in, they're like, "Oh, mom's here." Yeah. Mom's here, so she gets him, right? It was really weird. I was like, okay, what is going on here? But anyway, that the experience itself was a little bit alarming. So we did go through the prenatal classes. So we had some ideas, but really not. It was just kind of a joke, because we the oldest people in the room going through these classes. So, but when we were actually faced with the birth, I was actually at my doctor's visit, and I was probably maybe just at 7 months, and the doctor said, we want you to go over to the main campus of Henry Ford. Go over to the main campus and, have them check your blood pressure. And, because we just want to double check it. So he made it seem like it wasn't urgent or important. But when I got over there and they started taking my vitals, it was like everything. The doctor's like, snap, 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 snap. I had one nurse. Most of the staff were not African American, and it was one nurse that she was a little bit older, and she kept saying, girl, you fine. Don't even let them bother you or worry you. And they were saying that my blood pressure was so high when they took me in after about, I don't know, maybe I was there an hour, and they called a cold blue. And I'm looking around like, wow, what's a cold blue? And they all ran into my room. And I was like, well, what's going on? So nobody was saying anything to me. I didn't know what was happening. They're like, well, we're going to take the baby now. Because they told me when I came in, they said, you may have to have a C-section. I was like, a C-section? That was a surprise to me, too. So I didn't understand what was going on. And it was really nobody explaining it to me. And the one nurse, again, she kept saying, oh, girl, you're going to be fine. Don't even let these people upset you or worry you. It ain't nothing wrong with you. And then they call a cold blue. So that kind of threw me off. But even when they did that, they weren't really saying anything to me. So my husband is looking around like, what is going on? And they were like, oh, we got to take her. We got to take the baby. He was like, well, can I come? And I was really surprised at that. So he was actually sitting in the room when, I was having a C-section. And I'm conscious. I feel them moving around. It's like somebody rummaging around in a drawer. Mm-hmm. That's what I felt like. And I'm like, and he was like, I can see all your organs. So I'm on one side of a screen. He's on the other. He's like, they just did a deep cut. Like, your stomach is all the way open. And I'm like, it is. I'm like, could you please don't narrate? Don't tell me to blow my blow. But I think that I was pretty calm, but I got thrown off by that whole cold blue. Mm-hmm. And then them saying that, we're going to, you have to have a C-section. We're going to take the baby. And I'm like, well, why? And I was asking, I said, I want my placenta. And the doctor denied me. And he told me, oh, it's a biohazard, so you can't have it. Mm-hmm. I was like, I said, I don't care what it is. It's mine. It came out of me. You don't get to keep it. Because I knew that I needed that for him, for his medicine, for his journey, right? And they just refused. And I tried to, they were like, well, it's too late now. We disposed of it.
Mm-hmm. Or they put in formaldehyde. That's what they told us.
Not true.
For my granddaughter. Because I kept telling them, we want her placenta. Well, they've already put it in the, I think it was formaldehyde or something. I could tell they were lying. Mm. But at that point, it was so much going on because she was an emergency C-section. Right. My thing was, as long as the baby's okay. That's the most important thing. But
yeah.
Placentas are worth about $50,000.
Exactly.
$50,000?
Worth a lot of money.
It's a huge money making.
Mm-hmm.
And the blood that's drawn from you at these seemingly, we need some blood.
Mm-hmm.
That blood is used as well.
Wow.
Those things are sold.
Yeah. It's like, why do you have to take so many vials? I thought you could run all these tests with a drop. So if you need a drop, why are you taking 6, 7, 8 vials?
Yes, ma'am. Every
time you come.
All of those products are very lucrative. And they're products.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Mm-hmm. So any sisters out there that have a Black maternal health story that you want to share? And I just want to just take a moment of silence, because we have lost so many sisters, so many mothers, so many daughters to the trauma that can be associated with the experience. But we also have so many who thrive and survive. And so I want to acknowledge both. I want to acknowledge our babies that have moved from this space and that are waiting in spirit to be reborn into this new world, to bring what is really needed. And we know that every life it is commissioned for this season is here for a reason. So I just want to take a moment of silence to acknowledge all our sisters who have had both the positive experiences and the resilient experiences. Thank you. So Mary, drop it.
Okay.
Give us the juice. Juice.
I wanted to talk about a few things. And the causes of Black maternal mortality. that's important because a lot of us, people say, well, I don't know what happened, or I don't know why this happened to me. Like you said, you don't know why you hemorrhaged, once you left. And just a really brief story. A friend of mine, her sister-in-law is an endocrinologist in Chicago. And she was pregnant with her second child. And she had gone into the hospital, just planned C-section. Everything was, progressing well. No, it wasn't a planned C-section. It was an induction. She was induced. And so about a couple hours into her labor, after she was induced, things went wrong, very wrong. She developed an amniotic embolus, like I was saying to you. She died in childbirth. They were able to get the baby, out, but the mom passed away. Absolutely devastating. Family completely devastated, thinking they're going to have a big celebration. Mom and baby coming home. Mom didn't come home. And she was a physician. There were mistakes made, okay, during all that was litigated, but there were mistakes made during that time. And I want people to know that even though socioeconomic reasons for maternal mortality do exist, being that the less you make, the less you're educated, you have worse outcomes, it still happens to people at the higher ends of that socioeconomic range. And so I want to go over a few of these issues. And then what we can do about it,
Yes.
Yeah. So chronic heart disease. Many people don't know that they have heart disease, and heart disease starts with something as simple as high blood pressure, anemia. How does anemia cause heart disease? You hear people say all the time, oh, I'm just anemic, or I've always been anemic. That is not a benign thing. When your body is deprived of the oxygen that the organs need, they slowly break down over time. And it's like that drip, that little drip of water that will erode a rock. That's what anemia is. And so anemia can lead to heart disease and death. So like I said, chronic heart disease, hypertension, obesity, diabetes. These are very common and high up there with causes of maternal mortality. Societal stress. Moms who have to do so much, that heavy stress of providing while you're pregnant and taking care of other kids, taking care of elderly family members, high stress jobs, your insurance status, if you are, the lack of insurance and you're pregnant, unhealthy eating, because we do stress eat, and everything sitting on the shelf is dead. You gotta, everything that's sitting on the shelf is dead. It's dead food. And that's the stuff that you find in food pantries. And I'm not knocking food pantries. They're needed. But a lot of the food pantries, they are distributing dead food. Lack of physical activity, limited access to prenatal education, quality of your health care and your provider, implicit bias, structural racism. We talked about preeclampsia, embolisms, postpartum cardiomyopathy. What that is cardiomyopathy is a disease of your heart, but something that becomes apparent after birth. That stresses from the mother due to underlying health conditions, cardiac heart conditions, unknown to the mom at the time. So there are, and there's so many other there's lots of autoimmune disease out here. People don't know it. They just think their joints hurt or they're stiff or something. And it's underlying autoimmune disease. And so lupus, RA, rheumatoid arthritis, scleroderma. There are so many attacks on us that we aren't even aware of. how do we address it? How do we address it? One thing is we've got to get, or let it be known that there are providers out here who have a heart for women of color who want to see these healthy pregnancy outcomes, who are working to make sure that these things happen. We've got to get our diets right. Like I said, the dead food, they're feeling they're inexpensive, but the cost is your health. You know, those are big ones, and we've got to get more active. You know, exercise in pregnancy is a fabulous thing. It delivers so much more oxygen to your body. It gets that oxygen moving, keeps your baby with fresh supply of oxygen. It's good for mental health, and moms need to check in with mental health providers during pregnancy. The level of stress that we're under, combined with poor diet, increases the likelihood of depression and other mental health spectrum diseases that can greatly impact our pregnancies, all the way up to suicide. Suicide is a very real reality of pregnancy, especially pregnancy under stress.
I have not heard anybody, and we work in suicide prevention spaces. I've not heard one person address suicide with pregnant mothers.
I haven't either.
Not one.
I never even thought about it.
Right.
I mean, I'm just saying, think about all the stress they're under.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but I'm saying we need to increase the awareness again with anemia. That and I'm so glad
it's not okay to be anemic.
And so because it's so widespread, it's like a part of acceptable culture. And so, if I know we talked about this on a previous episode, if you have some of those tools and things to do, the food was a major one, and the iron intake. So, if you have a moment to please,
I would love to talk about iron intake. Iron. Two things I'd like to address: iron and folic acid. Haven't you guys heard that you need folic acid when you're pregnant?
Right.
And the iron. Exogenous, what I mean is iron that you take that are in pills or something like that, is the thing, they say take the iron. First of all, synthetic iron is not the best for pregnant women. It's not the best for anybody. It's poorly absorbed. It is constipating, extremely constipating. And so what's the remedy? To eat foods that are naturally high in iron. The most readily absorbed form of iron for humans is called heme, Heme. And heme iron comes from animal products. Now, I understand there are people who don't consume animal products, but the truth is heme is more readily available. Now, if you are taking the exogenous iron, you have to take higher doses with vitamin C, because that helps it to, helps you to absorb it better. But heme iron is, there's no substitute. The other one, it just doesn't. But I understand if individuals are vegan who don't partake in animal products, you have to really be on top of it. I don't like it. I won't prescribe it, but I give people guidance, about it if that's what they, if that is what they need. The other thing is, and iron is way up there. Iron, it's a blood builder, and so you need that. You're in a pregnant woman. your blood volume increases by 50%.
Wow.
And it makes pregnant women more likely to have a thrombotic event. What I mean by that, blood clots. And so women have to be careful. I do know of a patient who passed away. She had a pulmonary embolus due to the increased volume of blood. So you have to be, you got to listen to your body. Mm-hmm. You have pain in your limbs. You'll have pain in your chest, pain in your back, and that could be from a thrombus. So you got to really, don't just chalk it up to, oh, that's just a pregnancy pain. Get it checked out. Mm-hmm. I don't care.
How is it detected, though?
Well, they'll do ultrasounds. They'll do other imaging. There's some things like patients come in and I suspect they have a thrombus. They'll be able to localize the pain. Like you can say, oh, it hurts right here. Mm-hmm. It won't be a radiating thing. It'll hurt right here. And you're like, is it above or below? Are you still feeling pain above or below? You can feel that the skin may feel clammy in that area. Mm-hmm. There are things that you can, in the physical exam that can, you got to be suspicious of these kind of things. And so if the physical exam gives you, some indications that something is going on, then you go deeper and, you get some imaging. And then those experts step in and take care of it, So
so once it's observed, then there's something that can be done.
Sure. Yep. And OB, obstetrics and gynecology, they do a great job. And it's a common thing that pregnant women it's not all the time, but it's not unheard of that pregnant women do get what we call embolisms, thrombus. And in pregnancy, because the blood volume is so much more, because you're growing another mm-hmm. person. Your body's expanding. You got all this extra fluid in you. And so that's the thing. So the second thing is folic acid. They say you need it to prevent neural tube defects. That's spinal, how children with spinal bifida, where they have that opening in their back where the spinal column has infused all the way. Folic acid is a synthetic vitamin. You don't want folic acid. You want folate. Folate is a natural occurring nutrient that comes from plants. Okay?
Folate.
So folic acid, not well absorbed, and it's just it's a poor second to folate, which is easy to get, which is easily absorbed through your diet.
What are some of the ways that you can get folate into your system?
Green leafy vegetables, and there are lots of other, and I'll come back to that, but green leafy vegetables, number one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, sisters, are you listening? Let me give you our number again. It's 810-560-0658. Thank you. I mean, in 10 minutes, you have totally changed my view, my level of information, and my curiosity on what we need to do now. How do we need to encourage? And I know that there are a lot of gardeners out there. There are a lot of community gardens. Mm-hmm. Now you see why it's so important to have them, to be a part of it, and then
absolutely
to increase our awareness. Because everything that's growing from the ground sounds like that's the medicine that we need, doesn't it? Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it? Mm-hmm. If it's connected to the ground, be it a plant, a chicken, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
The bugs or whatever. We really need to be in touch with the earth, because everything that we need to exist on this planet was given to us.
Everything we need.
Mm-hmm. A lot of things are being recreated, and the image of man versus the image of God. How about that?
Mm-hmm. And men are imperfect. So anything created by them will be imperfect.
I know you have something to pour in. Any thoughts on some of the things that Mary shared with us?
Well, I know when she talked about the iron, we had always been taking blackstrap molasses.
That's a good source.
Of iron?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Molasses.
Blackstrap molasses. You want the unsulfured. I know. It's not the best thing in the world.
It's not the...
But the easier way to take it, because I'm not a lover of it either, but the easier way to take it is put it in a smoothie. And that will help to kind of knock that edge off. Oh. But you don't have to worry about the constipation, especially when you have, regardless as to who it is, whether it's a mother or it could be a senior or whoever is having low iron. And it can be more cost effective too, instead of having to go to the doctor and get a prescription for the iron that they give you that's going to constipate you. So we had always used molasses. And how much? A couple tablespoons should be fine, depending on your situation. Now, when she talked about the anemia too, I noticed that I didn't realize how prevalent it was until you said something. I started paying attention to how many people said, well, I'm cold all the time. I have anemia. And they don't take it as a big deal. I'm just cold all the time. But you don't take it as it could be something potentially serious because there's no other obvious side effects or symptoms to go along with that.
Just want to challenge you a little bit. The next time you hear that, think about how many other ailments this person has complained of, or if they have hypertension, or if they have, problems with their eyes, or any other disease process. Because guess what? Our organs are greatly dependent on that hemoglobin that's bringing the oxygen to us. And if your hemoglobin can hold 4 oxygens, it can hold 4 oxygens, 4 molecules, but it's only holding 3 or 2, then somebody's missing. Somebody's not going to get it. And your body is going to prioritize your brain and your heart. Everything else is going to suffer.
Wow. Wow.
Also when you talk about that, oxygenating the blood, we don't breathe. We don't breathe properly. We almost don't breathe at all.
Yeah, so shallow.
Yeah,
we're from right here.
Yeah,
a lot of times.
And then it's stress induced, fear induced, because they keep you fearful of everything. People are too sedentary, and so just to start with something, the simple breathing. Even if you don't want to exercise, if you're sedentary, go up and down a set of stairs. You'll be tired, but you're going to oxygenate anything that's going to get you to breathe. We don't breathe properly. We breathe from our chest instead of our dantian. We're supposed to breathe from what they call the dantian. And if you look at children, they breathe from below the rib cage. I don't know when it starts in us that we start to breathe from our chest, but if you pay attention, when you are sleeping or when you're relaxed, you'll breathe from your dantian. It's when our waking day, going about our day, that we breathe from the chest.
We breathe from the chest. That started in school, when we anxious over tests, anxious about our behavior, anxious about whether we'll be liked, anxious if our clothes are good enough, or all of those. And I'm not saying I have beautiful, lovely teachers, but that stress of, especially if you aren't a classical learner, if you're not the one who does well on tests and everything, you're always going to be, especially starting in childhood, you're anxious about those tests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So we learn survival skills in childhood. That's a survival skill. Like, okay, so I'm going to take all of my energy and focus it on this instead of being a whole and full person in the times when I need it. That executive function too. Right.
Fight or fight.
If you think about it, if you just stop, just like right now, just stop and just take a breath, breathe in and out. And not focus on anything, just to take a deep breath in and out. And you start to feel how relaxed you are. Then you start to pay attention to how tense you were before you did it. And that's like, it's a norm to you.
Yep.
And we're out of order.
That's so true. Yeah. Very true. I can change my alertness just by the way I breathe.
Yes. And it can shift your mindset. I do it when I go out in the morning. I do it before I step in the house in the morning. In the evening when I go home. And if I am having difficulty sleeping, I will go outside. I will put my feet, it doesn't matter what time, I will put my feet in the grass, dig my toes down in it to try to get to the dirt, and I will just stand there and breathe. That has been the most powerful reset for me, is those times when I've done that. Yeah.
That's what they do for your children. When they get all stressed about something, it's okay, stop, breathe. I can't understand what you're saying. I've seen, police officers do this. When people are going through a really stressful thing, they're like, okay, stop, just breathe. Just breathe, because they can't understand what the person is saying to them,
right,
because they're under so much anxiety or fear or whatever.
Sure.
So when you get them to stop and breathe, even if you're taking a test, whatever it is, that you're conscious of the fact that you are in a very high anxious state, just stop. Breathe in and out as deep as you can, and just slowly exhale it. There are, because I do different healing modalities, and one of the ones that I was taught, I don't do this often because it is very intense, it's called a theta breath. And there's a way that you guide people through this breathing technique. And if over whatever period of time that it takes them, it literally releases trauma. Because energy is stored in the muscles. And that's why sometimes you can get a massage and sometimes people will cry. But breathing too will assist people in releasing deep-seated emotional traumas done correctly.
Chemicals, because a lot of those traumas get converted to chemicals in your body, and we store them as toxins, And so everything has a chemical signature. And so people say, I don't want all those chemicals in my stuff. You are a chemical. You are a chemical. Right. Now let's talk about the quality of the chemical. Right.
Mary, did you have anything else you wanted to share with us on the topic?
Well, let's see. I did highlight a couple things that I wanted to say. I just wanted to say, know and seek immediate care. This is for moms. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms in pregnancy, extreme headache, swelling in the, like pregnant women do swell in their hands and feet. But if it's extreme, if it's more than you had experience in the past, if you can't get your shoes on, if you can't make a fist, trouble breathing, heavy vaginal bleeding, or any type of discharge, overwhelming tiredness. These are symptoms that you could be having a potentially life-threatening event. And, and a lot of people say, that's just pregnancy. Be safe. Better be safe than sorry.
Thank you. I want to shift over, and I want to look at the things that we were talking about. I want to look at them through a spiritual lens. I want our listeners to get in the habit of understanding that, one, and I say this a lot, spiritual things need spiritual tools. Physical things need physical tools. But part of the tooling and retooling that we do is to try to look at the circumstances that we're facing through a spiritual lens and a physical lens. So when we talk about that, even in the medical field, we know that people are practicing medicine. There are people who are who give you the deeper insights, like Mary, which is why she's a part of this. Her voice is a part of our education process. Ma'at's voice is here as a part of this process as well. But I want us to look at, when we talk about, when we have certain physical things, we have to also look at what could be the spiritual, what is the spiritual alert that you're getting from that thing. So, like, for example, for people who may be having headaches, what are you thinking? What is at the top of your mind that you might be expressing during that time when you're having a peak headache or migraine? So to start looking at how do we start healing, right? Physician, heal thyself, right? That's what that's what we're charged to do. So part of that healing starts at the lens that we're taking to see the deeper meaning in things. And so I think that's such an important tool and retool to have, that I look at if my feet are hurting. Am I walking in the right direction? Am I taking the right steps for me at this time? Like it's, and I was sharing with Chantel earlier when we did the How to Walk in Heels workshop. There, I put a card in there, reflexology card in there. And I'm sure either one of you can speak more to this. But it says like different parts of your feet that are connected to different organs in your body. Mm-hmm. And so if you're massaging your feet, you're also giving attention to that particular organ. So I want to use that as an example of how things are often connected. And we have not had the knowledge, or somebody share that there's another step that we're not taking. So we go to the doctor to get a quick fix for whatever is ailing us, but never get to the deeper issues. And so that thing may keep repeating, or it goes unhealed, and it just continues to cause other circumstances or situations in your life. So let us be mindful and let us pay attention. And I think this is one of the amazing things about women and what we do for one another, and why that the gift of that our maternal health is also the healing, and it's also connected to our spiritually. And so when you look at the people who have been called and chosen over our lifetime to help us address these particular issues, that we have to take that next step and look deeper. That's some of the questions that when you're working with a doula, often with a doula or midwife, they're asking you questions to help you look deeper into the situation. So if, like Mary talked about, if you have a healing or swelling in your hands, that's a symptom of something deeper. What is the deeper thing? What are you putting your hands on or to that's not conducive to your life at this point, or your journey of motherhood? I'm just making suggestions to how we can look deeper into what's really at the root of some of our challenges.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So any thoughts on that, using that perspective?
Yes, I wanted to, as you were talking, there were a couple of things that came up. One is, unfortunately, nowadays, young women don't want to be mothers. And it's sad. They're focused more on self than anything else. Not understanding that it is the greatest gift that you can have to be a mother. Even if you don't birth a child, because there's some women that didn't birth children, but you still are a mother to somebody. You're always mothering. Mm-hmm. Another thing was our intuition. If you are not already connected to your internal wisdom or your intuition, your spidey senses, or whatever terminology that you use, then I suggest to do that, because those feelings can be lifesavers to you. As she said, she had a pain, and she knew that something was wrong. The nurse is telling you, oh, it's going to be okay. No, it's not going to be okay. And you have to follow your own intuition about things, even if you're not conscious of aware of what the resolution to it is. Intuitively, something's wrong. And if you sit with that long enough, you'll be able to detect what I need to do. Do I need to go to the doctor? Or is this something that I can do myself? Maybe I've overdone it. Mm. Maybe I'm not exercising. Maybe I ate something that I knew I shouldn't have eaten, but I ate it anyway. Mm. And being intuitive enough to connect with your baby while your baby is in you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they want to eat certain foods. It's like, why am I eating pickles and eggs together? Like, those two things don't make sense. But right. I want scrambled eggs and I want sweet pickles. And so instead of questioning those things, understand whatever's going on is a natural thing, and it's an intuitive thing. Maybe it's something, the nutrients that the baby needs. That's right. Maybe it's nutrients that you need. maybe you need to get more nurturing, more self-care, more touch. So being in tune with your intuition, I think, is one of the most important things that women can do, but more especially pregnant women. So I know we're short on time, but I don't,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mary. You
I
have any
love that.
closing thoughts?
Absolutely. Just like you said, if your hands are swelling, if you're swelling, or, it's a symptom. Think of more than just the physical, the spiritual thing. Why are you holding on to all that fluid? Why are you retaining? What are you unwilling to let go?
Yes. Yes.
You got to think about, I don't want to walk in that direction. I don't want to keep going in the direction that I'm not willing to make those hard decisions and just keep stepping. And you're going to have problems with motility, So, yeah, I endorse what you both said, and,
And fluid is emotions.
Sure.
So when you have excess fluid, it's something emotionally that you're not letting go of. You look at the body part of what's swelling to let you know spiritually what's going on, what needs to be resolved.
Yes. He said that something you shouldn't eat. You know that you shouldn't. Yeah, I had something yesterday. My stomach was like this morning, like, I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it because I wanted an apple pie. And I stopped at a particular restaurant and got an apple pie. And like I said, I haven't even eaten at that place for years. And I just had a taste for apple pie. And I know that, they're supposed to be baked over fried, right? So that's what I stopped for. And then my stomach was like, don't play with me. Don't play. And say, we about to get rid of this, and I need for you to stop doing that. Right. So I appreciate the encouragement around exercise, because that's always a reminder, and especially because the weather is changing. How do we get back involved or connected? I encourage everybody, this is my favorite thing, but hug a tree. Especially as the leaves are blooming, hug a tree. And I'm saying that jokingly, but also at the same time I mean that, because we are an exchange of energy, and it's pure. That's where we get all of our oxygen exchanging. So the closer you are to that space and you're taking those deep breaths, it's going to be really helpful for you. And it's also helpful for the trees because we have a natural exchange, right? So as we're wrapping up, for those of you who listened in today, thank you. For those mothers that are out there that are in progress moms or expanding your motherhood because you're taking in new children or family, and those who are especially teachers, social workers in this day, that you are also going through this maternal health challenge with us. It's not just about the ones that of us are giving birth, but it's the ones of us who are nurturing our children. We are more than just the midwife and the doula. We are more than just the birth mom. We are the change agent for what we see today. We are birthing new ideas. We are birthing healthy communities and healthy families and healthy women to evolve and elevate in this season. So don't lose faith. Don't lose hope. Know that there are tools for you. You can tune in. My sisters here are going to share some information with you. I want Chantel to tell us a bit about her show before we exit. Please give us a little bit about your show when we can tune into your show, because our producer now has a show, a podcast. Ooh. Yes, right. That aired, well, I guess yesterday was the first day.
Yes.
So
thank
tell
you
us
so
about
much,
that.
Miss Heather, for the opportunity to be able to do this. My podcast is called One Step Closer. It is going to be Thursdays at 1 p.m. And it's a motivation type podcast to be able to encourage you and let you know that each and every day you are one step closer to your goals, dreams, whatever that looks like. So
thank you. Right. And we can see you on Podcastic
yes,
Live.
on Podcastic, Facebook and YouTube. So yes.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you. So my sisters, how do we help our community? How do they get in touch with you?
You can reach out to me at marypac2025@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Mine is relationshipfirstaid.com is the website. The email address is relationshipfirstaid@yahoo. And the same thing, Relationship First Aid on Facebook and Instagram.
Thank you. Thank you. And you can reach me at yourinspiredjourney.com or call me at 313-759-7855. You can see my YouTube videos. So you can find me under Hetheru Miller, Personal Change Coach. Use some of those clips. You can listen to the whole shows of our previous podcasts. I have a whole series of lessons for the journey, information for you to help navigate this journey. Books, articles, whatever you need, join my website. You can also visit me at hetheru.com. I'm a .com now. If you want to see a little bit more of this side of my conversation. So my Your Inspired Journey is for general public, for those sisters looking for deeper meaning in the journey. Follow me at hetheru.com. So thank you for joining us today. I'm so excited about where we are going and what we can do. This Lessons for the Journey is for you. It is the best of what we are and who we are so that you don't have to take the same steps that we did. We want you to have a shorter distance to travel for more information and wisdom. So we appreciate you. I am Dr. Hetheru. Please stay clear.